Hello everybody, hope you're all having a great day, and in today's video we're going to be talking about player data and handling teleports. So the first thing that you have to pay attention to, the first thing that we're going to set up is basically the player data. And all you have to do is call these services, and you want the database. So you want to get your specific data from your data store. Uh, and you want to create this session data folder, basically, that list time folder. Um, I have specific cards that I want to check whether the player owns those cards or has those cards equipped. If you do not have those, then all you have to do is just follow the you just understand how to save player data, and then you can implement it however you want within your own game. And so the first thing that I'm doing is I'm creating a folder for every single data that I want to save. And leader, if you create a leader stats folder with this exact name, it's going to show whatever data that you have parented to that leader stats over here at the top right section on the leader stats, basically. So keep that in mind. But make sure that it is not with a capital L, because then it's not going to display it. And I want the essence to be displayed on the leader stats, so I have parented it to leader stats, and as you guys saw, it was visible on the leader stats. And here I'm just looping through every card and adding a bool value to both card ownerships and the card statuses. This is because I want to check if they own a card and if they have equipped a card. And this is just a pickle. Make sure to include all of these. And here I am doing a pickle to retrieve player data. And all I'm doing is just passing in the player user ID. And I am repeating this until there is a success or attempts are equal to 5. So you have to repeat it until the player data has basically been retrieved. Uh, okay. Now, if there is a success, so if the player data has been retrieved, um, you can do this for testing to see if it works for you. Um, you're basically checking if there is no player data. So if a player, it's their first time joining the game and they hadn't previously had any data stored under their user ID, you're going to basically set those base data for them. So essence is going to be 0, owned cards are going to be nothing, and equipped cards are also going to be nothing, an empty list. Otherwise, if there is a player data, then all you have to do is just adjust the data accordingly. So essence.value is going to be equal to player data.essence. Make sure it's basically these names that you are giving them when we're storing player data. And if there are owned cards, if the player if you are using owned cards, checking if the values are true or stuff like that, um, you're going to loop through every single card within your card ownership folder that you created. And remember, these cards are booleans basically. They are bool values that you're going to change accordingly, and you're checking if the value um, you're getting the value of those owned cards. So if those cards exist within this list, then you are setting the value of sorry, I'm making a mistake here. Basically, you are setting the value of that card to true. And here's a check. If the card name is equal to value, then you're going to set the value of that card to true. If player data is equal to equipped cards, again, I'm using the same logic. Then I'm going to loop through every card within the card statuses folder that is parented to the player, and I'm also looping through the value. So if you guys remember, these are lists. So I'm looking through every item within that list, and if that item, the name of that item, is equal to uh, the name of the bool values that I have within the card statuses folder, then the value of that boolean is going to equal to true. And you can print data loaded just to check if it is correct, if everything is happening correctly. And otherwise, if like no data is loaded, then all you have to do is just kick the player. And this is for you to check later on the server if there was a bug or error floating player data. And all you have to do is just show the player user ID and print this basically. Now, you want to update the data whenever player is leaving or you are shutting down the server. So all you have to do is retrieve all of those values that you had previously. So here I'm retrieving the essence value from leader stats, and I'm creating a equipped cards list, and I'm adding all of the cards that have a true value, the value of true within my card statuses folder, and inserting them within the table. And I'm doing the same thing for on cards. It's basically the same logic as I was previously using. And basically the session data under this player user ID is going to be equal to the following. And we are doing the same thing. Again, we're using a p call uh, and repeating it until there is success or the attempts are equal to 5 or however many attempts you want there to be. And if it's not success, then just warn an error message and then repeat the same process 3 seconds later. And if there is success, then the player data has been saved, and you can just print this. So you can look at it within the server, basically, under the developer tools. And if there is no success with saving player data, then you can create this warning within the server and look through it again. And whenever a player is moving from the game, then you can just add this, call this function. And if you are shutting down the servers, like for updates or anything like that, then you can just loop through all of the players within the server and call this function for each of those players. Now let's talk about the shop. So the first thing that you have to do is create a folder within server storage, and whatever items you want to sell, you will just place those items within this folder. And you have to do the same thing with your item models. Now, the next thing that you'd want to do is basically creating the shop GUI. You can design it however you want, but there are a couple of hints that I have for you guys. So what happens is if you're going to use something like a backdrop to lower the uh, if you see like without this backdrop, you can just see whatever is behind this GUI. So if you are going to add something like a backdrop, and if you want the shop to be full screen, you have to make sure to get rid of the GUI inset that is occurring. So you have to just tick this, because what naturally happens is there is an inset because of the GUI that already exists up here, the Roblox GUI that already exists up here. So all your items are moved down slightly, so they're not going to cover the whole screen. And since we are using a player first-person camera, what you want to do is just on any of the buttons, enable modal. This allows you to move your mouse anywhere you want whenever this GUI is open. Otherwise, if you do not have this enabled, then you cannot move your mouse around when you are in first-person camera, basically. And oh, sorry, I forgot. I closed the properties tab. Properties. Okay. The next thing that the whole idea of the shop is you can create it however you want, and I'm just going to show you guys everything that I have within my shop, so you guys can copy it and then design it however you want. Um, this is the main frame, and this is the info frame that you can see on the right over here, and these are the separate like display frames and the statistic frame, and I am using like a viewport. This is a viewport frame, not an image. Okay, don't forget about that. And text label UI corner to just add this roundness to the edges, and statistics, I have a buy button, a cost and an information text label. And then you have the options frame, that is the one over here. Inside of it, you want to add a scrolling frame in which we are going to add our frames basically. And inside of it, you want a UI grid layout so that it basically follows a grid. And the UI corners are again optional, and you have to have an exit button to close the shop GUI. Okay, now let's talk about the handler, the one that you see over here. So there isn't much that you need to do with the handler. Just call the player service and the local player and the replicate storage. Get the remotes. Like you want the shop open and shop close your remotes because you want to have a trigger part. So you have a specific trigger part on the map. You should open the shop, and all you have to do is just fire these remotes, and you will receive it on the client over here. And we also want the manager because the manager is a module script. Do not forget about that as well. And you want to get the exit button and the buy button. Those are two. Those are important as well. Now, the first thing that you want to, so whenever you are opening the shop, you want to enable the shop GUI for the local player. This is why we are using it local script. And you want to, this is optional again. You can anchor the player humanoid root part to prevent them from moving, or you can just not do that. And you just use this is a function within the module script manager.new. I can show you function shop.new over here, and you just do manager.new and you're calling that function. And for the exit button, we're going to use manager.delete. That's another function that I'm going to talk about in a second. Disable your shop GUI and fire the shop close server and unanchor the player humanoid part. The reason why I'm firing this is because what I'm doing is I'm preventing the player from because I am using a touch event. Um, I am preventing the touch event from running over and over again on the server side whenever the player is just touching it. Um, so I'm firing this server to enable the player to touch it, but also I have a debounce, a 2-second debounce. So after they have closed the shop, they cannot open it for 2 seconds. So there are two reasons why I'm using the shop close server. You can just not use it, to be honest. Um, buy button. This is for buying. So whenever you use mouse button 1, it's going to be checking if there's a left click. You can use a mouse button 2 or anything like that as well. Um, okay. So now let's get to the manager side. There's a whole. So you have to mention many stuff. You have to initialize many stuff in the manager. So first, initialize your replicate storage players and player, and afterwards, there is a config folder that I created. Where was it? Yep, the config folder over here, which has the cards. They're inside of this config folder. I have the cards, their name, their these are the display names. These are the names that I'm checking alongside these item models, basically. And the price, description, and the order. Um, and I forgot to change this. So this is basically the order at which they will go within your shop GUI. But I do not think I have used it. Now, again, do not forget to index. Use that index to look through the shop itself whenever it is looking for value, and mention all of this stuff. I have already showed you guys the GUI that I have created. All you have to do if you are using the same names is just initialize all of these things. Now change visibility. I am using it for changing like the item image, the display item name, cost text label, information text label, and buy button basically. So if the player has not clicked on any of the items within the shop, these are going to be invisible basically. Once again, let me change the enable to false. Okay, now the next thing. So shop.select afterwards. Shop.new. This is whenever the player is opening the shop. So for that, we are looking for every card within the our card config, uh, the configuration that we have over here. So just set meta table to our shop. Shop is basically the name that I have given to this module script. So feel free to, if you have given it a different name, then just use a different name for it. And you are going to give this object the name, display name, like set these different values, and you can give them any names that you want. Just make sure that you have these values catered to them, like specifically card table.price, card table.order, card table.description. And in more complex shops where you have like multiple categories, this is helpful for using because you can mention can retrieve this object in different functions using self. But in our case, I don't think I have used it that much. Now we are cloning the template that we have parented to our manager. This template can be anything that you want. I just have a viewport frame and an item name within this template. And now mention the viewport frame, the item name of the template clone, and the template button of that object is going to be our template clone basically. And we are going to parent that template clone to our scrolling frame that we had within the shop GUI in here. And setting up the view item and viewport frame in general. You can use this or whatever you want. Because all of my items were the same, I just use a static value, but you can create a module script to customize it for each of your items. And yeah, that's basically it. And also for the field of view, I taught you guys the trick with the relative size. You can use that if you have items of different size. In my case, I have this items of the same size and shape, so I'm just using static values. Um, Now you can, for each of these objects, you can add a check whether they have been clicked, like these template buttons that we have set over here, which are our template clones basically. You can check if these are clicked. If we left click on these items, and if that is happening, then we're going to run this shop select function, and I'm going to pass this object into this function basically. And whenever like something is clicked, I want to change the visibility to true. And I think I've forgotten here, but I also want to change the visibility here to false. And here within shop select, you want to use a for loop, and you want to go through. Sorry, item image over here is the basically you want to go through every item within your viewport frame because you have a camera and the model itself, the tool itself, and you're going to check if the child is a model and if it's um, or it is a camera, and you want to destroy basically those items. Also, I forgot to say, the reason why we are doing this is we are checking if uh, an item was previously being so let me show you guys actually here. So basically there's a viewport frame over here. This is our viewport frame, and there is a viewport camera attached to it. There's a camera attached to it, and basically what we are doing is we are attaching the camera and the model to it if a card is selected. So if I clicked on a card, there is already a viewport item and a camera attached to it. So when I click on another item, it's just going to display the previous item, but the new item and the new camera are also going to be um, attached to this viewport frame. So basically you get infinite number of items and cameras attached to this the more you click on different items. So we want to get rid of the previous items that were attached to this viewport frame whenever we click on like a new one. And here I'm just setting the display item name to, you guys remember we set these values over here, and we are basically setting the various values of different text labels and stuff like that to the values that we set to this object. And the same thing with view item and viewport camera. You can just copy paste whatever we created over here. And this is the important part. So if you guys remember, when we were saving data and retrieving data, we had the card ownership folder parented to the player, and we are basically trying to find that object within this card ownership folder, and if the value of that card is equal to true, and it is not equipped, so this is for card ownership, and this is for whether it is equipped or not. So if it is equal to false, if like it is owned and it is not equipped, then we are equipping it. So we're going to set the value, set the text to equip, and we're gonna change the background color to whatever color you want. For me, it's green. And otherwise, if the player owns it and the player has it equipped, then they are unequipping it. So set the text to uh, unequip, and the background color to red. And if the player sorry is going to buy, okay, and this is just for the buy button, because they do not so this is we are just changing the text to buy because they do not own the card, and therefore they cannot have it equipped at all. Okay, now we have function shop.buy. Simply we are checking, because we already set this logic over here. We do not need to repeat it over here. All we have to do is check if the text is equal to buy. Then we are checking if the player has enough essence to buy this item, and if they do have the enough essence, then we are firing the buy remote and passing in the selected object and the price. And we are later on deducing this from our value, basically. Now, this is just changing the background color and the text, because now they can equip it, basically. And if they already own it, then they can equip it. So we are again going to fire that equip remote, and here buy button, changing it to unequip, and changing it to red, changing the color to red. And if they have it unequipped, then we are changing the text to equip. Um, Here we have a second parameter is action, basically, so make sure to pass in equip and unequip, because later on we're going to be I'm going to show you guys the server side in just a second. And then we have shop.delete that I mentioned over here, manager.delete. And this is whenever they are basically closing a shop, so you just change the visibility to false, and for every item within the scrolling frame, you're going to destroy all of those items if they are, because this is a text button. This template is a text button, you're going to destroy all of those items, basically. Okay, let's talk about the shop server now. So again, call the services and the remotes folder, and I have a specific trigger part. Change the enable to false. I have a specific trigger part over here that when the player touches, it's going to open the shop. So you can mention your own trigger part, and here I'm just checking if the status is open or not. And if the trigger part is touched, then I am checking if so I'm getting the player from its character. And once I have retrieved the player, then if we have the player, and if the shop is not open by the player, then we are going to set the status of the shop to open, basically true, meaning that shop is opened by the player, and we are firing the client side shop open client that here we were basically receiving over here, shop open.onClient event. Now, if shop close, when we receive the shop close event, we want to change the status to false after 2 seconds, because we wanted I wanted a 2-second debounce before the player could reopen the shop. And here we have shop.buy. So if the player has purchased an item, and as you guys remember, we passed in the item name and the price. So all we have to do is just change the value of that item within our card ownership to true. And all we have to do is change the value of our essence. We have to minus the price from the value of our essence, basically. And lastly, whenever the player is basically equipping an item, you guys remember we had this shop equip remote that we were firing, and we had the action, which was either equip or unequip. We are checking if it is if the action is equipped, then we want to basically pass in the card equipped, because I only want the player to be able to equip one card. So I am checking if the player has already equipped a card. If they have, then I am setting the card equipped card to that card. So as you can see, I'm looping through the card statuses. If there is a card with the value of true, then my currently equipped card is equal to that card. If there is a currently equipped card, then I am setting the value of that card to false, and I'm just setting the value of the selected card to true within the card statuses. Otherwise, if the action is unequipped, then I'm just setting the value of that card to false within the card statuses. And that's it for the shop server. Okay, now let's talk about handling player teleport. So here I have created a teleport door, and there are multiple things that you have to pay attention to. First, we have a surface GUI, which is the one that you are seeing over here, and inside it I have a player count and time, and these are text labels. And you need two positions, so the indoor position and the outdoor position, and these are where we are going to be teleporting the player to when they are touching this part from the inside or outside. And this is basically our the part that we are going to be checking for if the player has touched it or not. And if you have an int value that shows the max player count for each of these doors, because some of them have max player count of 2, some of them have max player count of 4. Okay, now let's talk about the teleport server. So you need the teleport service and the replicated storage, and basically the place ID. All you have to do here is um, add new place, and you can just once you have added your new place, you can copy the ID of that space from here, and all you have to do is just paste it over here. Now, uh, camera remote. This is for us to update the camera when the player has uh, entered QE basically, and I will show you guys the client side in a second. And these are the teleport rooms. So I'm just retrieving whatever room I have as my teleport room, and I'm also looking at the updated player count. So this is for evaluating teleports, and I'm going to first talk about teleporting player. I mean this for loop over here. So in this for loop, I'm going through every room within basically the list of my teleport rooms, and I'm checking if the room has a teleport door. If it does, then the teleport door is going to be equal to that room's. Basically, the teleport part is going to be that teleport door, and teleport GUI is going to be that surface GUI that we created, and you just have to initialize the outdoor and indoor positions and max player count. And the exit part, we have an exit part on the inner side of the teleport door, basically. And players in room, for now it's an empty list, and the player count for now is 0. So if you have a teleport part, and when the teleport part is touched, you're getting the player from its character, which is so players get player from character hit dot parent. And if the if you have a player and you cannot find that player within the room itself, so if you guys remember this list initialized, if that player cannot be found within that list, and the player count is less than the max player count, then you're setting the value of that player to itself basically. So now that player can be found within the list, and you're adding 1 to the player count. And we are teleporting the player inside, so you're changing the position of the human root part of the player to the indoor position, so they are moved inside of the teleport room. And we are firing the client for the camera remote. And just copy this because we are going to talk about the camera in just a second. Now, teleport GUI. You can create a teleport GUI, it's optional. All you have to do is just create a local script here where you're going to handle the teleport GUI. All you have to do is just copy this and move your teleport GUI to replicated storage over here. And you can create it however you want. The GUI, there is also the surface GUI that we had, and for that, all you had to do is just set the so whatever text that you want to have. If you want to, I believe my text was something like this. Yeah. Okay. So this is how I created the text, players, and then parenthesis, player count, and out of max player count dot value. So it shows like 1 out of 1 or 0 out of 1 or 1 out of 2, stuff like that. And we are going to check if the players are eligible for teleporting by using the evaluate teleport function, which I'm going to show you guys, explain to you guys in just a second. And if there's a result, then we're going to call the teleport players and players in room. Okay, so now let's look at evaluate teleport. We are passing in the max player count and the time label and player count basically. So updated player count is going to equal to player count, and if the updated player count is equal to max player count, then return teleporting. So basically, if there are 1 out of 1 players within this, if there are 1 out of 1 players, and we want to teleport them, so we just return this teleporting value, which we're going to use later on. And if the updated player count is not equal to 0, and max player count minus updated player count is equal to 1, so let's say I have 3 out of 4 players here, then the quit time should basically be decreasing by 1 second, basically. Then local countdown time is equal to whatever you like. I'm using 10 seconds, you can use 60 or any time that you want. And you have to also mention this boolean to prevent any repeats of the countdown time. And all you have to do is just copy this while loop. There isn't much to it. It's a very simple while loop, which decreases the countdown time by 1 second and sets the text value. So time label that text is going to equal to string value of this countdown time. And if countdown is active, then return teleporting. And yeah, that's basically it. Here I have to change this back to 10 because I have a 10-second countdown time. Now we have teleport players. It's very simple. You have the players array, which the problem with the player list that we are passing in is that um, it contains the player list itself does not give you the value of the players. So you want to go through each of those players and basically get the specific player from that list. and insert it within your player array that you're passing here. And you can use teleport options. We want reserve servers because we do not want players that are joining new players that are joining the game to be able to join uh, a specific server that is for the players that have already joined place 2 basically. So we do not want players in main game to enter the game of other players that are playing in place 2. And all you have to do is just call the teleport service and uh, just the place ID that we initialized over here, and players array, and the teleports option. That's it. Nothing special about it. And now you want to also allow the players to leave the queue room. So if they touch the queue part, and we get the player from character. If you have the player and the player is in the room, then we -1 from the player count, and that player's value is going to be equal to nil now. And we're going to set the position of the player to the outdoor position, and we're going to fire the camera remote, and this you have to pass in the player outside for the action and the teleport part, and just update the teleport GUI and evaluate results regardless, because maybe there are actually, I mean, it's kind of pointless in my case, but maybe you guys want to allow 2 out of 4 players to teleport to the next room, and there are 3 out of 4 players, 1 player leaves, and you still want the countdown timer to go down, so you have to evaluate teleports again. Okay, so now let's talk about the camera. So you guys probably followed the first course the very first video that I created about camera manipulation, and um, now you want to transition between first-person camera and third-person camera. Uh, so what we're going to do is initialize this value, and we also want to do not forget to create your one second. Don't forget to create the specific remotes that we were using. So if you guys remember, if we're using the camera remote, don't forget to create that because we're going to be using it. And uh, basically, we're going to just slightly change some stuff. Create a function, switch to stationary camera. And the target part is basically our door because we want a camera to be looking at the door, basically. So um, if the target part and the target part is a base part, you do not really need this check. Um, I'm just, if you are sure that the target part that you're passing in is the correct, is a base part and is correct, you do not need this check. You just need to change the camera type to scriptable, and change the target position and camera position, and you can adjust this however you need. I have commented here. And yeah, that's it. And then you can change the C frame of the camera to be looking towards your target position. Okay, now and if you're wondering, this is position, this is rotation. Okay, now function here you want to change the camera type back to custom. This is what we are doing after when we do not want the camera to be stationary. We do not want it to be stationary after the player has left the queue, basically. So you have to change it back to custom and lock first person. Camera mode should be lock first person. And here is where we are checking if the player is basically. You guys remember we were using the camera remote. We are firing it on the server side, and here we are receiving it on the client. And if the position is inside, then we are changing. We are basically setting the camera activity. The stationary camera is basically active, and we are running the switch to stationary camera function. And if it is outside, then we're just going to set this to false and restore player camera. And you don't need to change anything over here. All you have to do is just add these 3 functions and this value. One last thing before we finish this video. And I want to explain that you can retrieve the player data. You can retrieve the player data within your second place. So there's no absolutely no problem with that. All you have to do is just use the data store service, and do not try using the teleport data, because teleport data can be only used for passing basic information between basically the two places, and you do not really need to use it. Uh, you can just use data store service, and if you understood the logic behind how we are retrieving data and how we are saving data, then you should have no problems.